Hello, hi. I'm Tia Cristy. We're doing tips from Tia today, and I am so lucky and blessed to know the people that I know. And today I'm really excited because I'm here with Sam, Samantha. Please say your last name for me because I don't want to butcher it,
It's
but
okay, Sanitate.
Sanitate. Okay.
Yeah.
And Samantha is like the best. What is your job title actually? Like how is it esthetician? Is it I don't know. Go ahead, tell me.
It's okay. So I do have my aesthetics license, but
Okay.
technically I mostly do cosmetic tattooing. So I just
Okay.
say cosmetic tattoo artist.
Okay, cosmetic tattoo
Yeah.
artist. And you're like the best in the land because I'm telling you, not only are you just like one of the best people to chat with, and I love her to pieces. Like as soon as I met her, I was like, oh, I love her. But I am a lot of people that know me know that I am like a crazy researcher. Like I am such a nerd when it
Mhm.
comes to this stuff. And I started to dive in and I looked you up, and there was not one single bad review on you. Like you have to be proud of that. And then I know you're such
Yeah.
a humble person, but I mean, like, still, that's super cool, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody has like a little complaint, like when you're in that industry,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's just I had to wait too long, or
Mhm.
something along those lines. Not a single bad review, and we're gonna keep it that way, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm not trying to jinx you or anything like that. But I thought if anybody is the person to answer these questions, it is you. So.
Yay.
I know that a lot of people are very scared out there when it comes to, getting their cosmetic tattooing because
Mhm.
um, it sounds scary. I mean, we taught from a young age, tattoos are permanent, and
Yes.
and you better be good with it. And we when we think of the eyebrows, right? So, one of the things that happened when I was growing up, the 2000s, everybody had like those really tiny
Hmm.
eyebrows, right? And of course, to be in trend, you get tiny eyebrows. Well, then all of a sudden, late 2000s, in the teens somewhere, the big
Hmm.
eyebrows came along. And,
Yes.
like all of a sudden they were making jokes like people sticking caterpillars on their eyes,
Yeah.
and but it's like, how do you transition? And
Hmm.
everybody's walking around with these thin little things, and what do they do? And so hence microblading,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
all the other great things that you have in technology. But it's horrifying too when you look back at some of the old photos when those things came out.
Hmm.
Like you had people with eyebrows up here, or you had like the
Yeah.
fading or
Yeah.
turning green, and so it scared a lot of people. Um, but I will tell you, like, I've seen your work, and your work is gorgeous. So
Thank
you
you.
really are an artist in what you
Thank
do.
you.
So I guess let's start out with we covered a lot already, but let's start out. How did you
Mhm.
get into it? How did you do this?
So I would say because I did aesthetics first. So
Mhm.
doing that, I noticed that I just kind of fell in love with eyebrows. So tinting and waxing was like my favorite because you can kind of get this like almost like automatic result in a way. But then after time, there's only so much you can do with that.
Right.
So once I heard about microblading, I was like, wait, I think I kind of want to get into this. So I took a course. It was a 2-day course, got certified, and then ended up doing like a 3-year apprenticeship in Philadelphia for my tattoo license in Philly. So I am licensed in Philadelphia. And then I just kind of decided to stick with this for the most part because it's just so rewarding to see like how something like eyebrows can change somebody's day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first off, it changes their face immediately. You know this,
Yeah.
like, but that's why it is such an art, and you're so talented at it, is because um you actually like map out people's faces, and
Yes.
you don't just go by like the textbook, like how to map out. Like you see
Yes.
people do that online, like on the
Hmm.
TikTok and all that stuff, whereas like they're drawing the lines and they're doing this,
Yeah.
and it doesn't even fit the person's face. Like, have you
Yes.
have you ever seen somebody try those freaking eyebrow stamps? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I did that one
It can be a
time.
lot.
I look like the sister from Hey Arnold. It was the scariest thing in the
No.
world. Oh yeah, it was terrible. And I was like, never again will I do that, but it was very interesting to see. I saw a couple of videos like how you do map out, but then
Hmm.
you are fitting the person's face. Like how
Yeah.
is that just instinct for you or was that a
Yeah, so
practice?
I was taught because I feel like the basic rule is like the golden ratio, and that's where you're trying to find like front of the brow, the arch, and the tail. But we have to remember as humans that we are not perfectly symmetrical.
Yeah.
So I do like a little bit of the measuring to find like the general placement, but then you obviously have to go off of like the brow bone. If somebody has a stronger muscle on one side that might pull the brow up or pull it down, I would say balance is more important than having
Yeah.
like a perfect symmetrical eyebrow because sometimes that ends up looking more unnatural versus just
Right.
going with your natural features.
That's awesome. Yeah, because you and I
Mhm.
talked about it and I'm like, I got that people's eyebrow. And you're like, I've heard that comes from The Rock. He used to do it when he would wrestle, but it like it's up there, man. And um,
Yeah.
to try to match those would be like I'd be
Yeah,
very surprised all the time.
exactly.
But I let you know, like I think it's very funny little personal story for me is I've always paid attention to my eyebrows and
Mhm.
and I draw them on. I do that, like I
Mhm.
have some hair there, yes, but I went through a couple of medical situations where it actually like thinned my eyebrows.
Yeah.
And I kind of look like without penciling them in or, doing the pomade, I kind of look like I shaved them, like
Okay.
I
Yeah.
got the
Right
shave
in
line,
there.
like
Yeah.
yeah. And so I'm like, all right, well, let's just fix that. But being in the public is very funny because my eyebrows have become the topic of some major discussions here without me being involved in it, which I think is
Yeah.
hysterical. So a lot of people have things to say. And I find that so funny to me because I'm like, wow, eyebrows really are important to people. But
Hmm.
I'm a natural redhead, so like I do match like my natural red to my
Okay.
eyebrows. But some people are like, oh, your eyebrows are so important, and other people are like, oh my gosh, your eyebrows, they're too dark, they're distracting, and I'm like, man, can't win with everybody, right?
No.
So, uh, what do you do to really pick somebody's color? I think that's an important question because people kind of
Yeah.
freak out about that.
Yeah, so I definitely try and match the hair color as best as possible. Obviously, there are some people that do like to fill their brows in a little bit darker than the hair color. I'm more than happy to, kind of adjust things a little bit at the second session if they want to play with like something a little bit darker, but we never want to do anything that's, too big of a contrast from your natural eyebrow.
Right. What did you say? If I walked in and I said, hey, I want Kim K's eyebrows, you'd be like, no.
No, not happening.
Mm-mm. I love that though. I love that,
Yeah.
because you want to be able to have that conversation, and I had asked you, like, do people come in
Mhm.
with pictures or,
Yeah.
is this something that they're just like, free for all, like just do it. But I think that it is good to know like the different shapes. So would you
Yeah.
recommend people doing some research before they, come in, or do you think it's okay for them to come in completely novice, like not understanding a thing and talk it out with you?
Probably a little bit of both, because I would say the appointments always go the best when I can kind of see like what the client has in mind for the eyebrows. Because
Okay.
sometimes we don't always explain things by what we actually mean. Like, sometimes clients will explain something and I think they're saying one thing when they're saying the other. And then
Oh
they'll be
yeah.
like, no, 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 let me show you a picture. This is how I do. And I'm like, yeah, that's not what I thought you meant at all. So it's very helpful. There's like a little bit less miscommunication, and
Yeah.
then at that point, I can kind of set realistic expectations for their appointment if I'm seeing what they're thinking.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. And I agree with you because nobody sees the same color of blue in the sky. Like
No,
it's true. So,
no,
having a
yes.
better idea, like for me, when you and I we're gonna have our talk,
Hmm.
like I like short tail. I want a
Yes.
short tail. And
Yeah.
some people they do like it, but I have a heart-shaped face and it would just
Hmm.
elongate me. So I know the shape of my face. I know what I'm kind of going in
Yes.
for. And so that is helpful. That is really helpful, I
Yep.
think, on both parts, because then you can explain a little bit more to me and I can, say, oh, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Um, Now, how long does a session usually take?
So first appointments I book for 2.5 hours. We're not tattooing the 2.5 hours. That's just enough time, one, so we can chat, do a little consult beforehand, see what you're thinking. I do numb clients for about 20 minutes with a topical lidocaine to try and get you as comfortable as possible because everybody's, pain threshold's different. Some people say it doesn't hurt at all, and others say it's like pretty uncomfortable. So it really depends on the person. Then we map your eyebrows, which can take anywhere from like 20 to 40 minutes if it's like a hard eyebrow to map. And then the tattooing is the rest of the appointment. And that can kind of be anywhere from like, 40 minutes to like an hour and a half. It really depends on like our technique and whatever we're doing for that set of eyebrows.
That's awesome. Now, after
Mhm.
you map it, I'm sure you say like, "Oh, does this look good to you?"
Yes.
How does a person really? How are they able to tell with it not being like filled in yet? How is
Yeah.
that? That's got to be challenging.
So, yeah. So, how I like to map and how I was taught, and just what works best for me is to kind of draw the outline of the shape. So then I leave negative space around where we're going to fill in. And most of the time, people can see, I'm kind of like, don't be scared by the mapping, just focus on that empty space. And most of the time, they're like, okay, perfect. Every once in a while, somebody just can't quite understand what's happening. And in that case, I will just fill it in with like a brown pencil so they can get a better idea. And
Okay.
usually at that point, they're like, okay, I see exactly what we're going to do.
See
Yeah.
it now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's got to be wow, a little nerve-wracking. Now, how scared are people? Like 1 to 10, how scared are most people when they first come in?
Maybe like a five.
A five? Yeah.
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 Yeah. I would say on average, some people are really like, I seen your work, I trust you, it's fine. And then
Yeah,
I've
your
had a
work is
few
beautiful.
people, thank you, over the years that are just like so scared that I'm like, I think you should go home and think about it before we do this because it just sounds like you're
That's
not
right.
like, yeah, totally sure.
That's important, right? Yeah. Make sure this is really what you want. Now, how long does it last? That's a good question.
Yeah.
Now,
So on average, it's like 1 to 3 years. Some people get a little longer. It really depends on like your skin type, whatever technique we used, the type of pigments that we use. But I would say on average, I see people maybe like 2.5 years for a touch up.
okay. All right.
Hmm.
And I just had like three questions pop in at the same time. So sorry.
Okay.
So when it starts to fade, does it discolor? I think is it, something that I think a lot of people want to know because you see those horrible
Yes.
pictures where like brown
Yeah.
turns green,
Yeah.
red turns orange,
Yeah.
like, ah,
No, luckily we don't like I never see like blue or green eyebrows, which is good. I
good.
know pigments back in the day, they kind of tended to fade a little more red. We still do have those pigments. Those are more so like inorganic pigments, so they're more mineral based, and that just kind
Okay.
of leaves the skin a little quicker. So I would say they're good for clients that, maybe want to switch their style up a lot. So then it fades a little quicker and kind of allows you to change things a little bit. I usually use like a hybrid pigment. So those ones are the ones that will slowly fade and you kind of get a little bit longer out of them, which is good. And I feel like most of the
Wow.
time that's what people are looking for because they don't
Mhm.
want to necessarily have to come back every year. So this gives them a little more
Yeah.
longevity and they stay more true to color, which is good.
Okay. Now,
Hmm.
if something were to go terribly wrong, which
Hmm.
never with you, but
Hmm.
there are ways to pull out that pigment faster
Yeah.
too, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I feel like,
nobody is scarred for life or anything like that. I think it's
yeah.
important to know that it's not as scary as it used to be. Technology is incredible today.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and I'm sure it's just even the time that you've been doing it, you've seen
Hmm.
changes with the technology. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Even in my
that's
own work over the years, it's like night and day.
really, wow,
Hmm.
that's incredible. That's incredible. So what is like one thing that you would recommend to people before coming in? Like, is there anything the day of, like, you know,
Hmm.
come in clean face or, don't eat anything? Like what do you recommend?
I mean, as far as makeup, I always say that's totally up to the client because sometimes it is helpful to see how you guys fill your brows in, whether you come in with the makeup done or if you just bring a photo of what you normally do.
Yeah.
Because I remove anything from that area. We clean it very well, use an alcohol wipe to make sure the area is nice and like sanitary before we start the tattoo. Makeup on the rest of the face will get kind of wiped away in this area if you come with foundation. But I always say if you want to touch it up before we do your after photos, that's totally fine. You can do that too. You just can't put any makeup back on the eyebrows for like a week. And then as far as like what to avoid, you want to avoid any retin-A leading up to the appointment, any, acids in that area. Caffeine, they say to avoid because it can kind of make you bleed a little bit more. I haven't seen that really much in clients. I would say it more so is helpful if people are super nervous or jittery to avoid it, so you're not moving around during the appointment. Any blood thinners, anything like that, that can kind of thin the blood and, add to the amount of bleeding that can happen, you kind of want to avoid. But I always say, always ask your doctor before stopping any medications or anything like that. Um, and I mean, I think that's really, it for now. There are certain clients that can't get tattooing done, any clients going through chemotherapy, if you're an Accutane, pregnant women, all of those kind of basic things. But I do have that online too for people to read over before they book.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
Mhm.
So no Advil the day of either. Like that's not part of the prep, right?
Yeah, try and
So
avoid it.
yeah, do Tylenol or something.
Or right
Acetaminophen.
after you're good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or right after.